society, it's been around for quite some time. And of course, as all things should be, it developed over time. Whether it did for the greater good or not, it doesn't really matter. Initially, society has revolved over this one idea, the idea of normality. Humans had this idea of compressing the value of individuality over the value of what's hereditary to all of mankind. It creates the illusion of what's known as self. But at some point, society and what we call self should initially become adherent to each other, right? Well, no. You see, as I mentioned earlier, it revolves around the idea of normality, and normality itself revolves around the idea of prioritizing rational human heritage. For instance, communicating with friends, going to festivals, concerts, legal and popular gatherings, and so on and on. But at some point or other, we ask ourselves this question: how can society determine what's right, what's wrong, or initially which portion of our individuality is considered abnormal or simply known as weird? Well, it's simple. The answer is repentance. And you may ask yourself, why?
Think about it. Society always had this one infernal misconception: aggression. According to a meta-analysis from a genetically informative studies, up to 50% of the total variance in aggressive behavior is explained by genetic influences. Well, what about the other 50%, you may ask? And the answer comes with history, specifically primal history. We think of a primal individual, we usually estimate them as these violent beings, but in perpetual conflict, were these societies really as violent as ours? Violence used to be a source for entertainment. Even though it was morally wrong, people were still captivated by the outside scenery of pain and gore. As of today, aggression has significantly depreciated in view of the fact that human rights were created by society and abolished the idea of violence and aggression being a source of entertainment and gratification, or at least it isn't as barbaric and brutal for what violence used to be. And as the idea of violence being a source of entertainment slowly perishes away, a less known feeling appeared: the feeling of guilt. Guilt is aversive and, like shame, pride, and embarrassment, has described as a self-conscious emotion involving reflection of oneself. People may feel guilt for a variety of reasons, including conscious and subconscious acts, or at least they think they committed a failure to do something they should have done, or thoughts that they think are morally wrong. But how exactly is guilt interconnected to our consciousness, subconsciousness, and cognitive abilities? Well, to answer that question, we need to dive into the way guilt affects our mindset and way of thinking about the world outside and inside of us. On the outside, guilt is simply referred to as this bad feeling. In a magazine called In Praise of Guilt from 1994, guilt on the outside is explained as something that can promote closeness and emotional harmony by making people pay more attention to their partner's needs and emotional soft spots. And it can help rectify a volatile situation by making a wrongdoer feel bad about his or his transgression, which in turn can actually reduce the suffering of the victim involved. And on the inside, it can help relatively powerless souls get their way through the ubiquitous guilt trip. In conclusion, the stress of society affects all of us at some point in our lives. While research shows that a little stress can actually be a good thing because it motivates us into action, too much stress, though, can be problematic. But in the end of the day, you are here, right now, in this moment, watching this video. Even though you may not be doing something that you want, or maybe you are, what you need to remember is that you are alive, and that's all that matters.